Welcome back to another Explainer. I am so incredibly excited you're here today because we're going to tackle something that honestly strikes fear into the hearts of students and professional researchers alike. We are talking about data citation. Specifically, we're demystifying a massive academic challenge: how to properly categorize and cite survey data without completely losing your mind in the process. Look, if you've ever stared at a huge pile of survey data and thought, how on earth do I format this in my bibliography, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to make this super clear, very structured, and we'll walk through every single step together.
Okay, let's dive right into this. There is one single powerful sentence you need to remember. It's basically the golden rule that dictates our entire journey today. The treatment of a survey depends on its source. Think of this as a giant branching path in a choose-your-own-adventure book. Before you even think about commas, italicized titles, or hanging indents, you have to ask yourself one fundamental question. Where did this survey actually come from? Because the answer to that question completely changes the rules of the game.
So here's our exact roadmap for today. 1. The survey source rule. 2. Citing published reports. 3. Handling your own questionnaire. 4. Other researchers' instruments. 5. Essential citation elements. And 6. Generators and institutional rules. Let's get to it.
Starting us off, Section 1, the survey source rule.
This first major concept really sets the baseline for everything else, because in the eyes of academia, surveys are simply not created equal. A survey's origin determines its academic destination. This is the overarching philosophy you've absolutely got to internalize. You must definitively identify where a survey originated before you can figure out its fate in your research paper. I mean, did it come from a massive government agency? Did it come straight from your own brain? Or maybe a colleague's published paper? We really have to act like academic detectives first, tracing that origin. Because if we get the origin wrong, the destination, meaning how and where we cite it, will definitely be wrong too.
Moving right along to Section 2, citing published reports.
If you're dealing with a survey that's already published, you actually have a really straightforward path. Step 1 is just confirming that it is in fact a published report. You know, this might be a national census, an industry white paper, or some massive demographic study. Once you've locked that down, Step 2 tells us to cite it formally as a report, an article, or a data set in your references. It just gets treated like any other major academic source. Plop it right into your bibliography, neatly categorized so those original authors get the full, formal credit they deserve.
All right, Section 3, handling your own questionnaire. Now, what's really fascinating about this is how the rules completely flip for your original research. When you design and administer a questionnaire specifically for your own project, it does not get treated like an external publication. Instead, it lives organically right inside your methodology section. This is a crucial distinction. Your methodology is where you explain exactly how you conducted your research, right? So if you wrote the survey yourself, it makes absolutely no sense to stick it in the bibliography like you went and checked it out from the library. It is literally the beating heart of your own active research. And to follow up on that, here is the specific rule that solves the mystery of where your original instruments actually belong. You reproduce your questionnaire in an appendix rather than entering it as an external reference. Just let your reader flip to the back of your paper to see the exact questions you asked, word for word. Don't hide it, and definitely don't try to format it like a published book in your reference list. Just keep it grounded as part of your own document's anatomy.
Which brings us to Section 4, other researchers' instruments.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact difference. Notice the clear contrast here. On one side, we have your own questionnaire. Like we just talked about, you describe it in your methodology and reproduce it in your appendix. But on the other side, another researcher's instrument. If you borrow a psychological survey or a business questionnaire created by someone else entirely, it must be cited directly to its published source. You can't just dump their hard work into your appendix and call it a day. You have to point your reader to the exact external location where that original researcher published their tool. It's a beautiful contrast, really, and it keeps academic integrity perfectly intact. Okay, Section 5, Essential Citation Elements. Let's move to the actual anatomy of a record and see how this builds. Because when you do need to cite a survey formally, there are exactly 8 applicable components to a perfect citation record. 8 specific pieces of information you need to hunt down to make sure your citation is totally bulletproof. Let's meticulously walk through each of these 8 elements. We're going to dissect this like a biological specimen. First up, author or organization. Basically, who's responsible for the data. Second, the year it was published. Third, the exact survey or report title. Fourth is the version. Now this one is incredibly vital for datasets, because data gets updated all the time, right? Your reader needs to know exactly which snapshot in time you were analyzing. 5th is the publisher, 6th, the dataset identifier, 7th, the DOI, or digital object identifier, which gives you that permanent, unbreakable link to the source. And finally, 8th, the URL if applicable. If you can assemble these 8 building blocks, you are genuinely providing a masterclass in proper academic credit.
Finally, Section 6, Generators and Institutional Rules.
So, the crucial point here is understanding how tools balance with actual rules. On the one hand, we have tools meant to make your life way easier, like the Harvard Reference Generator. This is fantastic for automatically spinning up those complex references for published sources, saving you hours of formatting headaches. But look at the flip side, your institution. While a generator can make your bibliography look pretty, your specific university is the ultimate rigid boss. They dictate the mandatory ethics and appendix requirements. Honestly, you could have a flawless Harvard citation, but if you cross your institutional ethics committee on how you handle human subject data, well, let's just say you might want to rethink your graduation date. Tools help with formatting, but your institution holds all the power.
I want to end this explainer with a somewhat provocative question, just to leave you thinking. If you don't document your survey correctly, does your research even exist? Think about it. If a future researcher can't trace your data back to its origin, whether that's a published dataset, somebody else's instrument, or your very own painstakingly designed appendix, then your findings completely lose their foundation. Proper citation is not just some annoying formatting chore, it's literally the permanent legacy of your data. It's the only way human knowledge can actually build upon itself. So keep these rules handy the next time you sit down to write your methodology or bibliography. Always respect the origin of your surveys, and you're going to navigate the citation labyrinth with absolute confidence. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I can't wait to dive into our next topic with you.